Hi everyone, good morning. We are from Group 5, Manu and Bhuvan here to present on the article The Dark Side of Custom Analytics by Thomas Davenport and Jenny Harrison. This article, to give you an overview, discuss about the privacy matter of how supermarket uh, deals with their customer data which is collected through a loyalty program in a business perspective while they are trying to share this data or trying to deal with a business with an insurance company. And we'll just give we'll see over the expert opinion on how this discussion, how this business between then supermarket and then insurance company data sharing is available. Yes. So, to the two companies here we are considering in HRB case studies. One is a ShopSense, which is a Dallas-based supermarket retail chain in USA, which has a more number of customers who just avail their loyalty program, where they collect certain personal information, and in certain cases also related medical information where they can suggest products for them and provide discounts for the customers based on their preferences. And they also have a in-house analytics through which they collect the data, and with the data they are collected through the loyalty program, they also have a pattern based approach to issue coupons. So for example, if a customer is specifically buying some milk choice products or any health related products, they were able to create a pattern through their data analysis or the purchases they made, and able to issue coupons specifically for that to attract them more to purchase. And and as I mentioned, it's they basically collect this data through the loyalty program. The second company is a IFA insurance company, which is founded in 1972, and it's one of the largest life and health insurance company in USA. They are best among the industry, where they also collect data related to customers from multiple agencies or multiple points, and they able to have an analysis to set the premium level for the customers. If for they specifically collect an data with respect to health related issues. For example, if a customer is purchasing meat or more of an alcohol, they were able to come to a conclusion and have an analysis that the chances of him having the health issues related to cholesterol or BP is higher, so they wanted to charge more premium for it. So this is where the purpose of collecting the data was helpful to the insurance company. So the four experts' opinion who were given on the topic of how these companies leverage the customer data responsibly was, to start with, George Jones, who is the president and CEO of Border Groups, Michigan. The second person is Catherine Lemon, who is associate professor at Boston College of Management, and David Norton, who is the vice president of relationship marketing from Harsh Entertainment, Las Vegas. And the last person is Michael McAllister, is the president and CEO of Huma, which is a benefit-based company from. To introduce with this article, this is a discussion and also between two companies, where they were a primary point of contact from IFA personnel is Laura Brickman, who showcase a scenario of how the customer data while you're performing a shopping. We'll just come to it during the second slide. So the personals involved or the characters involved in this article from the IFA perspective is Laura Brickman, who is a religion manager for West Coast operations, Archie Shater, which is a senior analyst, Geneva Hendrickson, who is a senior vice president of ethics and corporate responsibilities, OC Copper, who is a general counsel, and the CEO, who is Jason Walter. From Shop Clues management personals involved in this discussion are Steve Orthington, which is a chief analyst, and Alan Atkins, who is a chief operating officer, Dennis Baldwin, who is a head of human resource, and Donna Greener, who is a chief executive officer. The scenario happens when Laura Brickman, who is an regional manager of IFA, performs a shopping and thinks about the accusation happened 14 months earlier, where IFA and shop clones comes into an agreement for sharing the data. He thinks about how the customer data are collected while making and shopping, and he also goes to the receipts and coupons. For example, when he goes to once he comes to the checkout, he was thinking about whether we need to have buy sunscreen or not, and it was also a sunny time. So when he goes for a checkout, when he gets a receipt, at the back of a receipt there was a benefit mentioned about the sunscreen diseases, and also just given a discount, also a coupon code. So she thinks about that due to the scenarios, or depends on the climate or the current scenario, they were able to analyze, the supermarket were able to analyze and bring out a receipt, bring a receipt coupon, where they bring a print at the end of the back of the receipt and give it to the customer, so that they will come to know, okay, this is the product and this is required right now, and they may use to the coupon also. And Laura thinks that, so with this customer data, we were able to identify which customers are buying how many products for their household related to food materials and also related to the health issues, so that she thinks this data would be useful for a insurance company to assign the premium for the customers. So she flies away to discuss with Steve, and tries to collect the data, and also they get the data 10 years worth of data from shop close, from it's specific to the people of Michigan. The discussion happens in such way, when with IFA management view and then shop sense management view. When IFA management view, Laura Brickman explains that during the discussion, points out that it is worth that we get a health related or customer related data from the loyalty program of ShopSense. So the Archie Shetter, who is also a senior analyst, posted or give additional support that ShopSense information could be rich source of insight, where we can collect the data's household information, whoever is purchasing more house product and other details, which is useful for them to identify which will be the upcoming diseases, or to reduce the impact of a premium. With this also, the senior analyst Rusty Ware explains that apart from ShopSense, IFA is also collecting multiple credits informations, financial information also from other multiple sources, which also deals with drugs and products. Where the OZ Copper positions that if IFA can get more information developed using ShopSense, he asks whether if customers pay higher premium, that may lead to a legal problem with perspective of a ShopSense. He also asks a question. Whereas the Jason Walter, who is the CEO, disclosed that if IFA comes up with the proprietary health indicators, that will be a huge hurdle for competing with the other insurance companies. And moving on with the ShopSense management view, Steve Worthington, who is an analyst and who had a discussion with Laura, tells our management that if we can share the data with IFA, and we can gain more in economic output, for which there was some discussion between them, and this is how it goes, where the Alan Atkins, he tells out that, who is a senior analyst, tells out that if customer finds out that we are just selling the data to the insurance company, they may start using the loyalty card program, which will stop the ShopSense from collecting the information. And also, who is a CFO, states that company is currently making more money out of selling the data instead of selling more meat, where he makes an statement that this is what the current scenario is also. And the Dennis Baldwin, who is an HR, he said that if IFA use the data, will it identify individual customers as employees for particular companies also? He, from a human resource and privacy standpoint, he also requested how IFA will use the data. And finally, with the shop management, Donna Green states that should we be charging more for the data which is they are sharing with the IFA, because selling the information may dilute the customer relationship what ShopSense has, and also insurance premium can get priced more accurately, depends on the data what they have with what these ShopSense have collected with. And this is the discussion which has been going on, and also ShopSense has however shared 10 years worth of data to IFA for the specific state of Michigan. And this is about the article, and as I mentioned that there were 4 expert opinion on it, so let's move in.
Thank you, Manu. So sorry, let's go back. So we have seen that this is a proposed deal. This ShopSense is a supermarket retail chain which has been collecting a lot of data, has made a lot of investments into developing its analytical ability, and in the past it has been using it to personalize the marketing campaign or the coupons or the discounts that they offer. And they have also been sharing some of the scanner information without the knowledge of the customers, and that's what the CFO refers to, that they have been getting more revenue from it. And similarly, on the IFA side, it's an insurance company which is looking for more data to try and do the risk analysis of the customers or potential customers who take the insurance products, so that they are able to price and arrive at a premium more accurately. So now let's look at the situation, look at this deal from both companies' perspective. From ShopSense perspective, which as I mentioned is a supermarket retail chain, it has this excellent database of customers. It has made a lot of investments. It can monetize it by selling it to different companies. Should it go ahead with this deal? What is your opinion?
Yeah, it is the revenue generating model for them, but without customer knowledge, they should not. Otherwise, they can land in obviously legal and obviously ethical problems, ethical issues and legal issues will be there.
Okay. Any other point to add to that? So if we look at it from the ShopSense perspective, of course, the pros, some of which also have been mentioned. It's an absolutely legal deal in all the states where the company is operating. It can lead to $1 billion of additional annual profit, because there is no cost involved in getting this. They basically share the data and they get $1 billion additional revenue and profit. And the data which they share could also be used by the insurance company to develop some of the wellness programs by personalizing the offerings that the insurance may have. So that's also a pro which the company management is considering as well. But on the con side, as you mentioned, that there could be customer relationships which are harmed. All of this is being done without the knowledge of the customers, and they may even opt out of the loyalty program. So that basically stops the inflow of data and inhibits its own ability to customize the products. So the expert opinion also has been that it's a high risk, probably a short-sighted approach which the company seems to be taking. It's not keeping customers at the core of the decision making. Customers may lose trust. So transparency is very important. And also the company in this case would lose control of how the data is being used. So one suggestion also is that they can have a combined program along with transparency, and then this may be taken forward.
Yeah, so this is difficult to understand. You say there is no legal problem, right, in sharing the data. But then you are saying there is a customer trust problem or customer relationship problem. So how is that possible? If legally they are safe, or it's legal to share customer data in the United States by law, and if they are complying, legally they are safe, then why should there be a problem with the customers? Because they are not doing anything illegal.
The deal would be legal. So there is no law which would stop them from doing this. But they are thinking of doing this without informing the customer. So from a customer standpoint, once they share the data, there is an inherent trust that the data would be used only for the purposes of how the company is providing various discounts or different schemes. Now, if it is being shared with an external customer, especially with an insurance company where the customer may be buying the product from, and that is being done without the knowledge of the customer, so it becomes more of an ethical issue. Though it's legal, but it's more of a breaking trust, which may lead to bad publicity for the company, and the customer, the trust, which is the basis of in this industry, would get lost.
Again, legally, that I doubt, because you are just looking at the two parties, the first party and the second party. But obviously, the third party itself, that is customers, they are the third party, and how can they be neglected?
Yeah,
Because data actually belongs to them.
yes.
So legally also it can be challenged always.
Yes. So, from a legal perspective, why we say that they stand good in the sense, even though it's a option supermarket, before while the customers enroll to a loyalty program, there is always an acknowledgement which is given by the customer. So where the privacy point is added, where they were given a concern is that every loyalty program collects the data and they give a concern that this is used for an analytic purposes. So they do understand, and they give an acknowledgement that while enrolling to a loyalty program for which they get an additional discount. This gives a shop sense and legal perspective of sharing the data with the legal entities whom it's not shop sense is sharing the data with everyone. They have a contractual agreement with IFA where the specific data is related to the financials what IFA required is alone shared. So this from a legal perspective. Where we point out the cron that customer relationship may be harmed is that when we share this with an insurance company, when, for example, if the customer is specifically buying health related issue, for example, if he is buying products, if we have cholesterol, and if we buy more meat-related products, this receipts data may affect the premium of it. When the customer comes to know that there is a high in premium, he may inquire IFA, and he may comes to know that, okay, the purchase of what I have made with the supermarket may affect the premium. So this may give him, even though he wills to pay the life insurance premium, but it may gives a harmed perspective that the purchase of what he has made may affect the premium. So, but even though he is given a concern or analytics which has been done, but the increase in premium economically affect him, which gives a hard relationship, so that he may choose not to go for this company or go for another shop. So that is a crons we promote.
So, is there like the deal is legal in United States or something? When we walk into any kind of supermarket or store like that, there is no agreement or anything we sign. The mode of payment is our own choice, whether we pay in cash or card or loyalty card or whichever way that is. So, firstly, is there something, some legally binding thing existing, and how does it come into effect? Because nobody knows what's your mode of payment, Google Pay or online payment. That is the first question. The second question would be, as I make out, ShopSense would be some kind of a supermart or a supermarket kind of a store. So, what is the customer segment they would be targeting, and how far would they be? How much would they be concerned about the privacy aspect? Because all these shops or supermarket, they're running on that cost leadership kind of concept. Daily low prices, discounts, coupons. As in US, that coupon system is quite prevalent. So would that have a more overbearing effect on this overall privacy thing, or would privacy assume a more superior position vis-a-vis those discounts and that cost leadership aspect?
So to your first question on how they are getting the data, right? From
First
different-
question is it legally binding? Are we, as a customer, when we go into any retail shop, for that matter here also,
Mm.
do you sign some agreement?
When
Which
we
is the
take
agreement,
a
from the with the card
when we
or
take
with
a
the shop?
when we take a loyalty program,
Hmm.
that signing up for the loyalty program comes with certain terms and conditions,
Which clearly
So-
states that everything is okay.
which would state, yeah, that
That's what
information
my
is being
point is.
collected.
There is no legally
and-
binding thing with the thing. I'm asking, is there over and above, other than loyalty program, as you go into any kind of mart or anywhere, in this case also, is there anything like top from the government side or something? Is there anything legally binding?
So the terms and conditions would be legally binding themselves. So
If
before
there
I
are
share
at
my
all
data,
from the company side. So there is nothing
Yeah.
overall.
US has state-wise regulations. So the states in which, for example, California has stricter privacy law, where it would restrict from sharing with anyone. But some of the other states, like where it's operating, it's Dallas-based. There, the laws are
governing supermarket, stores, retail stores.
all organizations. Whoever is collecting personal data has to abide by certain laws. So that is governed by the state laws.
Yeah. Also, at the time of writing the case, you can read that none of the states that IFA did business in had laws prohibiting the sort of data exchange Shopsins and the insurer were proposing. So,
Yeah.
if you read the case carefully, it says there is no legal issue in the sharing of data or data trade in the United States. Yeah, it is very specific. And it is very clear they will not should not be facing any issue. But so what you are highlighting is what is legal need not be ethical. That is
Yeah.
what you are
Yeah.
suggesting. Okay, you could be legal, but you may not be ethical. Okay, so the consequence of data sharing is what you are highlighting. Okay, so data sharing is legal, but when data is shared with an insurance company, because my individual data is with the insurance company, not with ShopSense, and the insurance company can charge me more premium if I consume certain food items, which they are actually monitoring what you're eating. So your insurance premium depends on what you're eating and drinking, which is monitored by an insurance company through a grocery retailer. That is an ethical problem here. Huh?
Probably the laws in US are designed that manner that every premium can be.
So this is a new model they are trying. Okay, the case also refers to another insurance company in automobile sector, the Progressive. Okay, so Progressive already has it. So when I was in the US, maybe long back, Progressive used to advertise, if you drive safe, you get money back. That's advertisement. Okay, the model is different. Okay, you drive safe and get money back. So everyone pays the same premium, and what Progressive does is, in your car they will put a data logger, okay, a sensor, okay, which constantly monitors how well you drive in terms of how much you accelerate and what's your speed over a period of time. And from that data, they can make out whether you are a safe driver or a rash driver. If you are a safe driver, your premium is low because your risk is less. So basically, money back means they charge less premium for safe driving and they charge higher for rash drivers. So it's about differentiated premium, or what you call personalized insurance. This is personalized insurance. With individual data, you are able to actually offer a product for everyone, okay, individually. That is the idea that LoRa is pursuing here. Create personalized insurance products.
It came to my mind that this Google Pay and Phone Pay and Paytm, which we are doing, sir, they don't charge us anything. So how are they basically making the? What about the data? What we are buying? Are they sharing this?
They can see.
Because their site and that says that we absolutely don't pay.
See, if you don't pay, data is what they actually use.
He said now $1 billion they are earning just by, well, not even, they are earning more by selling the data than the people.
Absolutely. So what this case highlights is how they make money through data which we do not know as customers. We do not know. This case brings or throws light on this particular issue of data trade and how it can affect customers. There can be so many different contexts where our data is shared and we may be paying for it or we may be adversely affected sometimes, which we do not know. Okay. Yeah, that's a. In Google Pays, you know where you are paying, but you don't know what you are. You are giving them data, not money. In all the free services, you give data, not money. And how they leverage data or use data is up to them.
So from a Shopsense perspective, we are seeing that because it's in a retail segment, the business runs on customer relationships. So if that gets harmed, there may be a big risk to the company. But what about from insurance perspective, from IFA perspective? Insurance companies are known to try and collect data from various sources to do the risk assessment. Do you think from their perspective it's a good deal? What's your view?
From their perspective, it is a very good deal actually. That kind of data is so valuable, as sir also brought out, that just by virtue of your habits or what are you buying, and that data itself will can be used to determine your premium and what kind of insurance policy or risk, that risk factor the company can determine very quickly, and they can also determine what is required in the market, what should be trending, what they new products, a lot of things will depend on it. Definitely it is beneficial for them.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously, they will be too happy to get this data because actually it is very, very valuable to them, and they can customize the products also, whatever they are offering, products and services.
Okay. Any other view? So the points that you mentioned are absolutely valid, that these data points could provide very valuable insights for each customer, and they would be able to personalize the premium calculations. As we discussed, the deal is legal and the public also understands that an insurance company has to do some kind of analysis to arrive at the premium. And it could, some management personnel also mentioned that there could be a positive spin to it, that further wellness programs or discounts, or like sir mentioned, based on the driving data, how certain discounts are given, that can be done by the insurance company. But at the same time, there are some cons also to consider, that accuracy of data may not be very high, especially when a person goes to a supermarket. Person may be buying for other people also, or for example, a father in the family would be buying for children as well, may not be consuming himself. But does that mean that if the person is buying a lot of, let's say, sweet or carbohydrates based products, should the premium for the person go up? That's a question to ask. The other factor could be that there could be a battered customer syndrome. That is, once you are able to profile different customers, there would be top 10-15% where the company would focus, and automatically that means that the remaining 85 or 90%, they are not being given the same kind of service, and then it becomes a question of how long they would stick with the company.
Yeah, in that also, we can have a model like bundleization of services for a family, like insurance for the family. Yeah, obviously insurance for the individuals can be there, but for a family also, in case, you said that errors might be there.
Yeah, and that's a good point. So the expert opinion on the point is also that it could be a good deal for the customer, but there are certain points to take into consideration. One is, of course, if as much as possible, the transparency with the customer should be there. It should be drafted as a win-win product for the customer whose data is being taken, because even for an insurance company, the customer might think that if this insurance company is trying to get my data from different sources, I'm not even aware of it, I would be a little inhibited in going and taking more products from them. So there could be risk of that public backlash. And one point that has been highlighted by the experts for both of these companies is that management is trying to think of what will be disclosed to the customer, and take decisions based on that. So that's also a point which needs to be changed. More ethical behavior needs to be inculcated across the organization, and irrespective of the industry, that could have a major bearing on how decisions are made going forward as well.
Yeah, I have a point here. From justifying this deal, of course, IFA is going to pay ShopSense to get data. So this has to be justified, economically justified. So one homework that Laura has done along with the analytics team in ShopSense is that they ran a pilot program. So they, before formalizing the deal, they tested whether this is something that's going to work. And the pilot program was successful, isn't it? For example, they found a correlation between consumption or purchase, we don't know consumption, purchase of certain products like the trans fat products, food products with trans fats, and insurance claims. There is a correlation. Okay, so that is already established from data. So there may be, as you said, there may be issues in terms of I'm not buying for myself but somebody else. So there will be outliers in the data, or data can have noise, but these patterns nevertheless exist in the data despite the noise. So there is evidence. This proposal is evidence based. It is not just hypothetical. Okay, so that is one strong argument they can have. We have already demonstrated that this is useful. That is one argument in favor of the deal. The other, I think, from IFA's perspective, is the potential for building a competitive strategy. I think that is a very important point in the case, that we are also discussing data for business strategy. See, this is something that can differentiate their business. They are offering products which competitors are not able to because of data. Personalized insurance is a new product. Personalized health insurance is a new product in the market, which they will be able to roll out in the market first time. So it gives them a competitive advantage. I think it's coming up in a subtle way in the case discussion, but it's also a competitive strategy. With a data partner, here's a new product which competitors don't have. Okay, so data is also for strategy. That is a point I wanted to highlight.
ShopSense is ready to sell the data which is available. If IFA didn't buy it, if maybe anyone competitors can buy it, because ShopSense is ready to make an economical profit out of the data which they readily have. So if IFA is not able to purchase, any competitors would have.
In fact, the CEO of IFA mentions that point also, that if they get an exclusive right to this data set, it will be a hurdle which will be difficult for all the competitors to get over. So that's an important consideration from the IFA perspective as well.